My dear, my chosen light in this world. Why do I feel your heartbeat racing as these words reach you? Because deep inside your spirit already recognizes the truth. Something unseen, something heavy and dark tried to wrap its claws around your life. But heaven noticed it before it could close in on you. That's why these words reach you now, right on time, like a knock on your door when the storm is about to break. Listen carefully. I have to reveal something that might make your hands tremble. Your name was whispered in a place where it never belonged. And a woman, yes, the one whose smile always felt just a bit too stiff, the one you thought was harmless, crossed a line she can't uncross. She didn't keep your photo as a memory or a token of kindness. She used it as part of a shadowy ritual. She lit a candle with your image pressed near its flame. She spoke words that didn't come from her grandmother's prayers or her family's wisdom, but from a tongue older than her own roots. Words that were never meant to touch your destiny. Archangel Michael says. Her ritual is in its final moments, barely 2 minutes left before it seals the harm she wished to set in motion. She tried to pull the love meant for you, the peace that keeps your heart steady, the opportunities lined up for your future. If you think this is just another dramatic story to ignore, understand this. Ignoring it is exactly what she hopes you'll do. Because if you shrug it off, her last move will land. And the shift will be felt not weeks later but within hours. The air will feel heavy. The friends who always reached out will grow strangely distant. Opportunities that had your name on them will slide into someone else's hands. But Michael is here, sword drawn, light blazing, ready to tear every thread she's tried to weave around you. Even so, heaven honors your choice. Your yes opens the door. Your act of faith allows the divine power to slice through her net like it's paper. Do you really think it's coincidence that your eyes landed on these words now, at this very minute? Heaven's timing is rarely late. God says, "Do not let my child stay blindfolded even one more second." Beloved, before you even take another breath, hear this. Stay connected. Don't drift away again. Too many times you've carried pain in silence when a single word from heaven could have shifted your entire path. Right now I can almost see the threads of her ritual glowing faintly. She is kneeling somewhere, muttering fast, calling your name again and again, like a stubborn echo in the unseen realm. She's tugging at your destiny, trying to drag what's meant for you into her own grasp. But what she doesn't realize is that the light around you is already pressing in on her. Michael is watching her like a hawk with a sword of flame in his grip. He knows precisely how to snap the last fragile links she's tied. Yet there's a law in the spirit, heaven waits for your choice. I need you to grasp how serious this is. The candle's flame is dipping lower, her final words are nearly done. The moment it dies, she will seal your image in dark cloth and hide it where even daylight struggles to reach. But if you rise up now, even in faith, even in a whisper, her fingers will falter. The cloth will fall loose. The power she tried to gather will snap back like a tide returning to its own shore. You may be tempted to say, "I'll handle this later." But in the unseen, later is a myth. There's only now, the knife's edge between blessing and battle. Michael says, "My beloved, you were never born to live caged in her darkness. You were born to walk in God's golden light. I will not stand by and let her dim you. Do you see why she chose you as her target? Because your light makes her shadow shrink. Because your joy is like a song in a room she's tried to keep silent. Because your calm spirit reminds her of what she lost long ago. If you saw her in this moment, you'd notice the tremor in her hands, the quickness of her breath. Not because she's guilty, but because she senses something pushing back. She feels the wall she thought she could climb now turning into a fortress. She doesn't know that you're reading this right now, the very one person who can undo her whole scheme in a single decision. Feel that weight in the air. That's not just your imagination. It's the pressure of two realms watching what you'll choose next. Will you step boldly into the light or let her final words sink like dark ink into the page of your destiny? Beloved, you're far stronger than you think. You've endured storms before, storms that would have flattened others. That's why this battle is happening, because you've been marked for something greater, and darkness always resents what is greater. Michael's sword is ready. God's angels stand around you like a wall of fire. But your yes, your decision is the key that unlocks the floodgates. The very energy she thought she could bend for her own gain will whirl back at her, and she will face the mirror of her own doing. Don't delay. Every second you hesitate is another tug on the thread she's tightening. And once it's knotted, only heaven's sword can sever it, but heaven waits for your signal. The flame is thin now. Time is running short. The urgency you feel is not fear, it's recognition. Your soul knows this moment is rare. God aligned it, Michael carried it to you. Now the choice rests in your hands. Her voice is shaky now, her ritual weakening. Not because she suddenly regrets it, but because she senses the tide turning. Beloved, this isn't about panic. It's about power, the quiet power of choosing light over shadow in the moment it counts. The night may be heavy, but the dawn is near. Step forward, let the light in, and let the battle end before it truly begins. If you wish to express your support further, you have the option to give super thanks with contributions of up to $100. A force she cannot name is pressing against her, heavier than the air she breathes. Michael's wings stretch so wide that the corners of her little circle seem to fold in on themselves. She once thought the shadows were hers to command, but now the very walls that echoed her whispers feel as if they're closing in. She doesn't yet realize that it began the moment you started hearing this truth. Because whenever real light enters a heart, lies start to crumble like dry leaves in the wind. Look at yourself now, your breathing has shifted without you even trying, deeper, steadier. That's not random. That's your soul leaning toward freedom. With each word you're hearing, another thorn is being plucked out from the soil of your spirit. Every heavy stone that sat on your chest is losing its hold. This isn't some bedtime story, this is the razor-thin edge between a life quietly chained and a life lit up by hope. When God pulled you into this very moment, it wasn't to frighten you. It was to wake you up, to shake off the dust that settled over your dreams while someone worked against you in secret. While you were hoping, planning, and trying to love, she was bending over dark candles, speaking words that should never have been spoken. While you were praying for peace, she was throwing curses like stones into the river of your path. The delays you felt weren't random storms, they were knots she tied. And heaven saw them long before you even knew to ask why. Archangel Michael says, Her thread is already fraying, but your voice has to finish the break. Your yes to heaven in this moment will echo louder than every muttered word she's poured into the dark. Your choice will shake the brittle tower she built and scatter it like dust in the first breath of a new morning. You need to understand this, beloved. You were never meant to stand small or helpless in this fight. You are not the cornered one, you are the rising storm she never planned for. She thought your silence would be her advantage. But God placed a sword in your spirit long before you knew you'd need it. The instant you whisper enough, the heavens themselves will answer like a lion that's been waiting to roar. Black magic has always depended on silence and unawareness. It feeds where good people freeze or ignore what's creeping near them. It's like a weed that only grows where the soil is left untended. But it has never been greater than God. Not once. The moment a heart stands with heaven, that weed shrivels. I see her even now. Her face is pale under the candlelight, lips trembling as if power belonged to her. Yet in the unseen, each syllable is cracking under the weight of divine light pressing down. She doesn't see the angels gathering behind her. She doesn't hear Michael's steps in the spirit, steps that sound like quiet thunder. All she senses is a sudden chill that creeps up her spine, the first sign of her undoing. You need to hold this truth tight. This moment isn't just about defense, it's about recovery. Everything she tried to siphon from you, love, confidence, the flow of opportunities, even the bright ease of your mornings, is circling back. Once you open the gates of your heart to God's move, those blessings will return like a rushing river that was only dammed for a season. Think back to those nights when you woke up with your heart racing for no reason, or those days when you felt strangely heavy though nothing had gone wrong. Remember the way your spirit sometimes whispered, "Be careful," when certain eyes met yours. That wasn't foolish fear. That was the quiet alarm of your own spirit tuned to heaven's signal. Michael is speaking even now. Tell my child that they are more loved than they dare to believe. Tell them I have fought things they'll never have to see. Tell them I am ready to end this, but I will not lift the sword until they give their yes. That yes is the key that swings the door wide. Heaven does not invade, it waits for the heart to invite. I won't soften the moment for you, the last minute is almost gone. The candle's flame dips lower, unsteady. Her hands reach for the final knot, the knot meant to lock your joy away. But if you let Michael strike now, that knot will never be tied. That shiver running up your spine is not dread, it is recognition. It is your soul remembering that it carries authority and that God's Spirit is leaning close, whispering, "I am here, I am stronger than all of this." Understand this. You weren't brought to these words by accident. Out of so many hearts in the world, yours was called into this moment at this heartbeat. Because this morning your name was on Michael's lips. Because God leaned toward his warrior and said, "Go now." My child's image is under siege. Their story cannot be rewritten by hands of shadow. She believed her circle of darkness would stay hidden, but heaven's light is never polite with shadows, it hunts them down and burns them out. Right now you hold the spark that will ignite the ropes she wound around your destiny. The only question is, will you strike the match? I see her fingers trembling as she reaches for that final twist. She believes victory is one breath away. But behind her looms a shape far greater than her own shadow. Michael's sword raised, the blade glowing like iron fresh from the forge. His voice is not thunderous, yet it shakes the very ground she kneels on. He declares that her time is finished, but still he waits. Because heaven never breaks through without the soul's consent. That is the unchanging law. The Creator gave you authority over your own life. Even the mightiest angel will wait at the threshold until you say, "Come in." That yes unlocks the floodgates of grace. Without it, angels watch, blessings hover like birds waiting for an open window while darkness makes its last desperate move. Beloved, your surroundings may look the same, just your room, the quiet, the ordinary, but in the realm beyond sight the air is charged with motion. Your name is being called in both light and shadow. But the higher voice is already louder, the one that says, "You are mine. No weapon formed against you will succeed." If you could see the fire circling your life right now, you would not tremble. If you could see how the light is already touching the photo she tried to bind, you would know how swiftly this can turn when God decides it's time. He does not bargain with darkness. He does not share ground with it. When he moves, the night itself flees. And when it's over, only his glory remains. Michael leans in so close now that the air between them trembles like the stillness before a thunderclap. The hairs on her arms rise as if the unseen wind itself warned her. For a heartbeat she falters, then her pride snaps back like a whip urging her forward. She tells herself she's been doing this for too long to be stopped by a whisper of light. But what she does not grasp is that she has never stood against the God who made you. She has never faced the covenant that shields your life. She thinks the altar she built in secret will hold, but the moment you give heaven your yes, the wood beneath it will splinter and the ashes will scatter like dry leaves in a storm. This moment is not just about stopping her now, it's about tearing up every seed she ever planted. The envy she felt when your laughter rang too bright, the curses she whispered under her breath when your name was celebrated, the sly lies she slipped into ears to turn friends into strangers. All of it will be dragged out by the root and exposed to the light. You have walked through seasons that felt senseless, doors shutting without warning, friendships collapsing overnight, money slipping away as though the wind had pockets. Those weren't random accidents. They were echoes of her hidden work. But God is ready to reverse every echo and pay you back with interest. Her rope may be in her hand, but Michael's sword is inches away. Her candle may flicker, but heaven's flame cannot be snuffed out. Right now the pull you feel in your chest, that odd warmth rising in your palms, is not coincidence. That is your spirit stirring, the sound of your own soul standing up. The angels crowding near you are like runners on the starting line waiting for the signal. And when they move, you will feel it. The weight that has pressed on your mind for months will lift. The long delays that made no sense will end. Even your own reflection will feel lighter because your spirit will finally be unbound. She hopes you will shrug this off as just words. She wants you to scroll past, to think she's already won. But her victory is only a shadow, and shadows disappear when the sun climbs over the horizon. You are that sunrise breaking her night. You are the answer she did not predict, the one willing to see, to speak, and to end what she began. Michael's voice is steady as a mountain. Just one move, beloved. One yes, and this ends tonight. And when it ends, it will not slip quietly into the dark. The very energy she hurled at you will snap back toward her, not to destroy her life but to prove a truth older than time: nothing and no one can touch what God has claimed. In the unseen I see the knot in her fingers start to loosen as though the rope itself refuses to obey. The candle flame bends low as if bowing to a power greater than the one who lit it. Her lips falter over the words she has repeated for years. She cannot understand why her strength is draining, but I know the light filling your space is louder than her ritual. Beloved, even the air in her room grows heavy now. The walls seem to lean inward as though they too remember who their maker is. She grips the rope tighter, fighting the tremble in her own hands, clinging to the final seconds of a ritual she senses is failing. Her heart races because she can feel a presence behind her, closer and stronger than anything she has called upon. Michael steps forward. His sword almost grazes the rope. His gaze never wavers, steady and patient like one who has waited centuries for this precise heartbeat. He knows that when you release your yes, your open door, he will strike, not slowly but in a single clean cut that leaves nothing for her to rebuild. This is why you were brought to this very moment, not yesterday, not next week, because in the realm of the spirit time isn't counted in hours. It is counted in openings, in divine alignments between heaven's hand and your choice. Right now that alignment stands open. If you could glimpse her thoughts you would see the cracks in her armor. Outwardly her lips still form the chants but her heartbeat is frantic. She senses the heat at her back, the light pressing in, and she realizes something unseen is listening. She fears that what she started will not be finished. Beloved, understand this. This moment isn't only about breaking her grip, it is about reclaiming all that she tried to bury, the joy that faded, the clarity that slipped away, the love that grew cold. Those treasures were never truly lost, they have been held in reserve, guarded by angels, and now the gates to that storehouse are swinging open. Michael's voice resounds again, deep and unshaken like a drumbeat rolling through both earth and sky. Child of God, do not waste this hour. Do not assume there will be another like it. His words carry the urgency of the seconds before lightning strikes. He knows the knot is almost sealed, but he stands ready to stop it if you permit him. Do you see, beloved? Even angels will not move without your word. God has given you authority over your life. Your yes is the command. Your belief is the gate. And when you choose the light, the darkness has no choice but to flee. The candle's flame sputters again, not because she has completed her ritual but because her power is flickering like a dying ember. Your awareness shines on her like a floodlight, and shadows cannot work under such brilliance for long. But she is stubborn, pushing faster, tying the rope with frantic hands as if speed could save her. She does not know that heaven itself leans over your shoulder waiting for the one word that will end her effort mid-step. Beloved, this is the hour when the unseen shifts. This is the window that will not remain open forever. Heaven waits, Michael waits, the light itself leans in ready to turn the altar of your enemy into dust. The question still stands in your heart, will you say yes? Beloved, the harder she pulls that rope the more it resists her. It's as if the rope itself has remembered the hands of the one who spun the stars. Her fingers tremble though she tries to hide it, her pride pushing her to keep going. She thinks if she just ties it tighter, if she just says the words faster, the shadows will listen. But what she does not realize is that every twist she forces is being unraveled by the unseen strength rising against her. Michael's presence thickens in that room like a rising storm, his wings spread wider so wide the air itself feels as though it cannot breathe. The sword in his hand gleams as if it has caught fire from heaven's own heart. The angels who stand with him lean forward, their eyes locked on that single rope. They wait, not because they are uncertain, but because heaven always respects the choice of the one being fought for, you. I can almost hear your heartbeat now, steady but stronger like a drum signaling that your spirit has decided to stand. That quiet decision, that invisible yes, echoing in your heart carries more power than the long nights she spent whispering curses. It's like a door swinging open in the unseen world, and when it opens, light does not creep in, it floods in. You might think, what difference can my inner agreement make? But that small yes is the permission that angels have been waiting on. It's the green light for heaven's army to move. Beloved, this is why you were led to this exact moment, not an hour before, not an hour later. The timing is the weapon. I see her now, her shoulders tight, her lips moving faster as though speed could save her. But her voice falters, not because she's forgotten the words, but because her own breath feels heavy in her chest. The room around her, once dim and quiet, now hums with an unseen pressure. The flame on her candle bows lower and lower as though it knows it's about to be snuffed out. You have walked through long stretches of life wondering why joy felt delayed, why friendships dissolved without cause, why progress came like a drip instead of a river. What you could not see was that much of what you lost was being gripped by hands that were not meant to hold it. But the moment you align your heart with heaven, that grip begins to slip. Michael's gaze does not waver. His stance is fixed like a pillar of fire. I hear his voice in the spirit, not shouting, but firm and cutting like steel. Archangel Michael says, "Child of God, speak it in your heart enough. Give me the word and this ends now." Beloved, this moment is more than protection. It is restoration. The love that faded without reason, the clarity that blurred in your mind, the opportunities that vanished just as you reached for them. All of them have been waiting like treasures behind a locked door. And the key has been in your agreement all along. The woman does not know that while she clings to her ritual, a greater light is already moving toward you. She thinks you will hesitate, like so many do, that you will let doubt delay you. She cannot see that your spirit is already leaning forward, that the weight she tried to anchor you with is starting to lift. I see the photo in her hand shake slightly as though the very image refuses to cooperate with her will. She presses it harder into the center of her ritual, but something unseen pushes back. Her whisper becomes uneven, the last words she tries to utter stumble out of order. And now, beloved, feel the shift, your heart knows it. The heaviness you've carried like a coat too heavy for your shoulders begins to loosen. The ache in your chest that has sat there like a stone starts to lift as though a hand has touched it. Michael raises the sword higher and the light it emits presses against the shadows like a dawn that refuses to be delayed. The angels behind him step closer, wings brushing the edge of the space as if waiting for the signal to rush forward. She senses it. Her eyes dart to the candle's flame that flickers wildly as if caught in a wind that only she can feel. The rope in her hands grows stiff as if it does not wish to obey her will. Her lips tighten, her voice grows louder but also more desperate, like a song that has lost its melody. This is the turning point, beloved. The unseen war is leaning in your favor. Your yes has tilted the scales. The dark seeds planted long ago, seeds of envy, of confusion, of delays are being pulled out by their roots. The soil of your life will not be the same again. Listen to me, this is not about fear. This is about reclaiming what has always been yours. God says, your destiny is not a negotiation. It is a declaration. And Archangel Michael says, the strike will be swift the moment you give the command. Even now the rope trembles as if it knows its time is short. The candle's light shrinks to the size of a pin. Her breath grows ragged, her confidence cracked. She clings to the final seconds of her ritual, but they are slipping through her fingers like water. Beloved, you have survived too many storms to let this one finish. You have walked through nights that felt endless, yet you woke up still standing. That endurance has prepared you for this exact instant. The darkness thought you would be silent, but you are the storm that it never expected. Right here, right now, heaven waits for your inward nod, your quiet but unshakable yes. And when you give it, what felt like years of resistance will collapse in a single moment, like a tower built on sand meeting the tide. She thinks she still holds power, but in truth the very rope she grips is fraying strand by strand. The more she pulls, the more it unravels. The more she whispers, the more her own words betray her. The break is near. The victory is closer than your next breath. This is the hour that divides what was from what will be. And when this moment closes, beloved, you will not just see the end of her effort, you will see the beginning of your release. Beloved, the sight is almost pitiful now. Her hands are cupped around the flame as if she could shield it from what's pressing in, but it's not the wind she's fighting. It's the breath of heaven itself pushing back at every attempt to seal that knot. The more she leans forward, the more the light flickers away from her. She thinks she can protect it by her own will, yet the candle bows lower, trembling like it knows it's outmatched. Michael's stance hasn't shifted, he doesn't need to. His wings arc higher, a wall of burning silver light that fills the corners of her room. The shadows she trusted to hide her work now scatter like frightened birds. The rope twists in her fingers as if it refuses to belong to her anymore. You can almost sense her panic, those little jerks of her shoulders, the sharp breaths. She doesn't realize she's wrestling not with rope but with a power greater than her own. Beloved, do you sense what's happening on your side? That strange quietness inside you, almost like the room itself is listening, that's the nearness of heaven. The pressure that once sat heavy on your chest is lifting, not because the battle has ended yet but because its outcome is already decided. It's the kind of peace that comes before dawn, while the sky is still dark but the first light is already rising beneath the horizon. Her muttering grows harsher now, less like a chant and more like a plea. She's trying to command what no longer obeys her. Every time she speaks a word meant to bind you, it snaps in the air like a thread breaking. That's because the authority she borrowed for so long has been revoked. Michael's gaze is fixed on the rope, his sword glows brighter with each failed attempt she makes. Understand this, beloved, heaven has no need for noise. When the moment is right, the strike will not be dramatic, it will be exact. One clean cut, one flash of light. And years of interference will crumble like dry dust. The waiting isn't weakness, it's precision. You may wonder why this had to happen at all, why there had to be nights of delay, opportunities slipping like water through your hands. But even in that there was a strange kind of mercy. The interference slowed you down just enough to keep you from walking into doors that weren't yet ready for you. Tonight that season ends, not with a quiet closing but with a decisive opening. Look closer in the spirit. The circle of light around you is widening, bright as if drawn by fire itself. Every word she utters falls just short of crossing it and fades like smoke in sunlight. That's why her voice sounds weaker now, as if she's speaking into emptiness. Michael shifts slightly, a warrior waiting for the nod from the one who sent him. His voice rolls like distant thunder, steady and sure. Beloved, hold your ground. The hour is here. It's not a shout, it's a decree. The air hums in answer. Her candle sputters again. The wick dips low as if bowing, sparks struggling to rise. Her own face reflects the shifting light, caught between anger and disbelief. For the first time she looks over her shoulder as if expecting to see someone there. She senses she is no longer alone, but it is not the company she hoped for. Beloved, you've carried burdens you never spoke aloud, thinking no one saw. But the unseen was never unseen to heaven. The very weight you thought would break you became proof of the strength built within you. That is why the rope cannot hold. That is why the knot won't seal. I want you to grasp this truth. What ends tonight is not only her ritual but the cycle that allowed it to reach you. The envy, the hidden sabotage, the whispered doubts, they lose their ground the moment the rope slips. And it is slipping now. The candle gives one final flare as if in defiance, then bows so low it almost dies out. Her chant halts mid-word. She shakes the rope, frustrated, trying to force it into obedience. But it moves like a living thing that no longer answers to her command. Michael steps forward, not rushing but inevitable. His wings cut the air like sails catching a divine wind. The sword rises, a streak of white gold humming with the weight of justice. You can almost feel the pause before the strike, that hush that comes when lightning has already split the sky and thunder is a breath away. Beloved, your part in this is simple but powerful. It is the inward yes, the quiet agreement that says you will not be bound by this any longer. The moment that yes settles in your heart, the strike will fall, not tomorrow, not later, now. And when it does, the rope will unravel as if it never belonged to her hands. The knot will dissolve, the flame will collapse into smoke, and everything she meant for your downfall will turn back on the path it came. This is the hour you step out of the shadow. This is the night the story changes. Not by your striving but by the presence that has claimed you since the day you were named. The circle of light grows brighter still, like dawn breaking in the room. Her fingers falter. The rope slips. The air shifts. Beloved, do you feel it? That surge in your chest, that warmth rising in the air around you, that is the signal. The heavens are answering. The strike is moments away. Hold steady. The line has been drawn. The night that tried to hold you will be the night that lets you go. Beloved, you know exactly how she lost. It wasn't by your might, it wasn't by some clever word you spoke. It was the presence that stood beside you, the one who never left you even in the nights you thought were silent. It was Michael's blade carrying out a command that had already been decided in the courts of heaven. She stares at her empty palms as though they betrayed her, her eyes wide, her lips trembling without words. The room that once felt heavy with her control now feels hollow like a shell with the center scooped out. You may not see it with your eyes, but the shift is real. The walls around you seem to breathe again, the air feels less like a weight and more like an open sky. The silence that follows isn't empty, it's alive, humming with the echo of victory. This is what it feels like when a chain snaps. This is what it feels like when the unseen finally bows to the light. Beloved, this moment is not just the end of her ritual. It is the beginning of your release. There were pieces of you that had been buried under years of quiet battles, the laughter you lost, the confidence that kept slipping through your fingers, the courage that once carried you forward but felt dimmed. Tonight those pieces are rising back to the surface. They were never gone, they were held in trust, waiting for the day the rope fell apart. She still sits there on the floor, stunned, her mind racing to explain away what just happened. She tries to reach for the rope, but it's nothing but ash now, slipping through her fingers like sand. She presses her hands to the floor as if trying to pull the power back out of the ground, but there is nothing left for her to grasp. The space where she sat chanting is no longer hers, it has been reclaimed. Michael doesn't gloat. He doesn't even speak to her. His eyes remain steady, fixed on you, as though reminding you that this battle was always about you being free, not about punishing her. His sword still glows, but the edge is at rest now, its work complete. Beloved, take a deep breath here. The strange heaviness that has followed you through days and nights will not follow you past this threshold. The heaviness that made your mornings feel slow, that turned good news into something fleeting, that made progress always feel just out of reach, it has been cut away. The atmosphere around your life is clearing. Doors that resisted will open. People who once overlooked you will remember your name. Places that felt closed will welcome you. And listen closely, this victory is not just protection. It's also restoration. What the shadow delayed will now come in double measure. The opportunities that passed you by before will circle back stronger and nearer. The relationships that crumbled under unseen pressure will either be renewed in truth or replaced by better ones. Even your thoughts will feel different, sharper, calmer, no longer crowded by confusion. She meanwhile sits in her own silence. The power she borrowed has returned to its source. The space that once answered her whispers now ignores her. Even the candle's last wisp of smoke curls upward like a surrender. She will not be the same after this night. For the first time she has tasted what it is to be resisted by something greater than her will. You may wonder if this is truly the end. Hear me, it is. Not the end of all challenges, but the end of the grip she held over your steps. The pattern that kept repeating, the sudden losses, the invisible delays, the sense that something unseen was always leaning against your progress, that pattern has been broken. Michael lowers his sword at last, and the circle of light that surrounded you does not fade, it settles. It lingers like a seal over your path. It is as if heaven has stamped your story with a new mark, one that says clearly, this life is not up for sale, not up for theft, not up for bargaining. It belongs to the one who claimed it first. Beloved, pause for a heartbeat and take in what just happened. The unease that used to creep into your nights will lose its voice. The fear that sometimes whispered that you were on your own will find no echo. Even your dreams will change, Where there was heaviness there will be visions that bring clarity, ideas that spark hope. She will try to understand but she won't. She will replay tonight again and again searching for the moment she lost her grip. But you already know the answer. The moment she lost was the moment you stayed, the moment you refused to let your attention drift, the moment you chose to believe that the light could stand for you. This victory was not loud. There were no trumpets or banners. It came quietly but it came completely. And that is often how heaven works, not with spectacle but with finality. Beloved, hold your head a little higher tonight. Not in arrogance but in gratitude. You stood in the place where shadows wanted you to run and you stayed long enough for the sword to fall. That staying, that agreement, that yes, it was everything. Now walk forward as one who is unbound. There is no rope left to drag behind you, no invisible weight to explain away. Only the path ahead cleared, steadied, waiting for your steps. Beloved, the air around you carries a quiet stillness now, like the hush that follows a heavy rain. The silence is not empty, it is alive, filled with the gentle hum of a presence that has always been near but felt distant under the weight you carried. You breathe in and it feels as though the breath goes deeper than your lungs, reaching the places in your heart that have been tight for so long. Michael remains standing as if keeping watch though the battle is over. His wings rest but still seem to shimmer faintly in the unseen light. When he looks at you it is as if he sees the road behind you, every tear, every night of confusion, and yet he does not speak of your pain. He speaks only of what is ahead. The chains that once held you, he says quietly, are now dust beneath your feet. Walk forward. Do not look back for them for they no longer exist. You notice the air itself feels different, lighter in a way that is hard to name but impossible to deny. The room that felt heavy like a closed cave now seems to have open windows. The shadows cling to the corners for a moment then slip away as though they were never meant to linger. Even the sound of your own heartbeat feels calm, steady, unhurried. Beloved, this is the beginning of restoration. Things you thought were lost forever are being returned, though not always in the way you expected. Some will come as people reaching out, others as doors you never thought would open again. Even the memories that once felt like wounds will now serve as proof of what you survived and will no longer sting when you recall them. Michael takes a single step forward, close enough that his shadow overlaps yours, and in that moment you feel as though no darkness could ever reach you again. Remember this night, he says, because it is a marker. What tried to follow you has stopped here. What was written against you has been erased. Walk as one who has already crossed over into the promise. The thought of her, the one who tried to bind you, flickers in your mind but it no longer stirs fear. There is no grip left in that memory. You realize now that justice in heaven is not about vengeance but about making wrong things right. Whatever she faces is not for you to hold, your story moves forward free of that shadow. The world outside is still the same yet you sense it differently. The air feels clearer, the night less heavy, the path ahead less tangled. Even in the small things, a phone ringing with good news, a friend's unexpected kindness, a door opening without a struggle, you will begin to see the signs that what was held back has been released. Beloved, carry this peace as your shield. The light that broke the rope is not a momentary flash, it is a lasting flame that moves with you. When doubts whisper, remember the sword's glow and the rope turning to dust. When fear tries to rise, recall the quiet authority in Michael's voice. You have crossed a threshold tonight and you will not be dragged back. Lift your eyes now, for the night has passed and the morning belongs to you. Breathe deeply, walk steadily, and know that the victory was not by your striving but by the one who never abandoned you. Amen.